Being a single woman in LA can be awesome. The nightlife, the beach, the shopping, the fun. But somehow, all of that seems to change when you're middle-aged. My name is Fran, Argentina-born, single, and yep, middle-aged. My midlife crisis hit me hard, so I decided to fight back by embarking on a quest. Visiting all 50 states before I'm 50 and taking you along with me.
Morning.
Okay, world, here we go. Planes, trains, and automobiles, buckle up, because this is going to be one heck of a ride. Welcome to my 50 before 50. Warning, I have an accent. Sometimes it may be hard to understand what I'm saying. Occasional grammatical mistakes may be heard or read. Viewer discretion is advised. Hi there. Welcome to the game. Are we in Virginia or are we in West Virginia? It's a very short game, actually, because the answer is I don't know. So, back to driving, I guess. Well, we just entered West Virginia with the tiniest welcome sign ever. What is that, like a brochure? Okay, well, West Virginia, here we go. Almost there. And so we make it into Harpers Ferry, or in the words of Frederick Douglass, a slave-born abolitionist, author, orator, and statesman, the town where the end of American slavery began. But before we dive into the massive history of this place, let's just talk first impressions, shall we? Super cute little town. Feels like I'm in Europe. Well, yeah, I mean, it is the closest that we get to Europe here in the States, I guess. It's very, very close to Maryland and very, very historic. Settled in 1734, the town currently has close to 300 permanent residents, but a lot more tourists. And just like them, I've walked its cobblestones in search of a nice place for dinner, which luckily I found not long after. Now time to go rest and get ready for an overdose on American history. So today's the day when we dive into history. And I promise you, this town takes the cake when it comes to that, as you can attest to by walking around its downtown, which offers a glimpse into the old days. The lower town invites you to step back in time and experience life in the 1900s through its many buildings and stores, which are open to all visitors and set up exactly as they were back in the day. Plenty of history-shaping figures once walked these streets. Just to name a few: George Washington, Meriwether Lewis, Thomas Jefferson, and John Brown, whom we'll get back to in just a few. But since I have so much to show you and I don't want to lose you, let's keep it tidy and start with geography. Harpers Ferry is located where the Potomac and the Shenandoah Rivers meet, which means that besides its ridiculous beauty, this was a key point for transportation and communication, and also a super strategic location when it came to war. Very, very strategic place. Construction of the U.S. Armory and Arsenal at Harpers Ferry began in 1799, eventually averaging a yearly production of 10,000 arms. No wonder this city became a main target during the Civil War. Witness to that is Bolivar Heights, one of the most illustrious battlefields of said war, since it overlooked the city and the armory. Many of the soldiers that lost their lives during the war were buried here, while most of them were later transferred to Maryland. You can still visit the graveyard that remained at Bolivar Heights. Yep, a lot of history. But we're just getting started, so I need you to stay with me, okay? Hey, that's better. Okay, let's take a little break. And what better break than coffee at the Rabbit Hole? The perfect place not only for breakfast, but for anything food and beverages in a super cozy setting with a magnificent outdoor area. No wonder the line outside was that long. The downtown of this National Historic District is as cute as they get. The splendid weather only enhanced its charm. The perfect trifecta of history, natural beauty, and a profound sense of being connected to something larger than yourself. In here, even the candy is historic. True Treats is the only historic and research-based candy store in the U.S., offering over 500 treats from the first in history on, and founded by food historian Susan Benjamin. This is an absolute must and a delightful sugar rush down memory lane. You can also visit them online to purchase your favorite childhood sweets. But truth be told, this whole place is a true treat. The European vibes, the deep American roots, and the gorgeous nature framing it all. I just couldn't get enough. Yeah, in spite of my fever.
Well, it's official. I think I have a fever.
But not even fever would stop me. So it was time to check out some of the older structures in the area. Built from 1830 to 1833, St. Peter's Church still welcomes congregants, and Mass is offered here every Sunday. Besides undergoing extensive remodeling, this was the only church that survived the Civil War. All others, like St. John's, were not that lucky, as you can tell by its ruins, which, fun fact, are flanked by the Appalachian Trail. Only a few steps down sits the oldest surviving building in the whole town. Known as the Mansion on the Hill, this was fittingly Robert Harper's house, the town's founder, who, as you can probably imagine by now, used to run the ferry across the Potomac River long before these railroads existed. Want more history? Sure. How about we throw in some Lewis and Clark legacy? Meriwether Lewis spent quite some time here gathering arms at the U.S. Armory and Arsenal and building custom ships before their famous expedition west. But Harpers Ferry was destined to be remembered for something entirely different. In 1859, Harpers Ferry was witness to a raid plotted by John Brown, which aimed to put an end to slavery. John Brown, a name that you'll see all over town, was a devout abolitionist that grew up to believe violence was the only way to stop slavery after all previous peaceful attempts had failed. On the night of October 16, 1859, the raid he had been planning for years was set into motion. The John Brown Museum and the Master Armorer's House tell the story of that night and the ones that followed. The raid was a failure. Some of Brown's men never showed up to battle, and the rest were outnumbered and eventually captured by U.S. Marines from the engine house where they had been barricaded. Today, this engine house is known as John Brown's Fort, and to many, this was the event that served as a prelude to the Civil War and to the end of slavery itself. So the long African-American history of this town comes at no surprise. Here settled the first free black family, as did the iconic Storer College, a landmark in education that remained open for almost a century and which campus fostered the John Brown's Fort from 1909 to 1968. Today, the fort has been brought back to the lower part of town, very close to its original location, which is marked by the John Brown's Monument. As per John Brown himself, he was also captured at the engine house and brought to trial. On December 2, 1859, he became the first person in the United States to be executed for treason. But let's close our Harpers Ferry chapter on a lighter note and go back to the river. Known as the Point, this is exactly where the Potomac and the Shenandoah meet, at the base of the Blue Ridge Mountains. The ferry operated here up until 1824, when it got replaced by the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad River crossing, the first crossing over the Potomac ever, and the only one until after the Civil War. Today, the bridge can also be crossed on foot, with recreational areas to each side, both in and out of the water. Which reminded me of the West Virginia tips I got from my friend Ryan over a year ago in Washington, D.C., remember? Here's one of them.
Whitewater raft.
Well, this was a milder version of it, and though I did try to book it, I was unable to find tickets. Oh well, probably better for my fever to be just a spectator this one time. Also here, the Appalachian Trail, with a sign that reminded me of my journey. Maine was the second state I visited. As per Georgia, we'll have to wait. In the meantime, time to get on the road one more time. Well, good morning, y'all. Sunday, and as you can see, you can feel the weather. I guess fall is here. And this is interesting. I was about to leave the hotel, and then one of the workers knocks on my window. And he says in Spanish, "Don't forget your suitcase." Guys, my suitcase was just standing there. I was about to leave and leave the suitcase behind. Yeah, when you have a cold or a flu, whatever it is, it's not COVID. You should not be traveling. You should be resting. Anyway, back on the road, I guess, with the suitcase. So it was off to our final West Virginia destination, the colors of fall beginning to show. I think this is the most red color and red leaves that we've seen so far. And needless to say, I am loving it. And to top it all off, let's throw in one of my favorite things, an impromptu stop along the way. But what at first looked like a great bakery with great coffee and great pastries was way more than that. I had stumbled upon the market of the Farms Works Wonders family, a beyond cool nonprofit organization that offers plenty of programs for the youth and includes a bakery, a farm, a kitchen, a glass studio, and a restaurant. The place was fully decorated for harvest season, making this coffee stop one of the top ones of my journey. Make sure to check their link in the video comments. In the meantime, back on the road it is. You guys, I love the little stops. Besides the main things, the main attractions, if you may, that I choose per state, I love stopping at these little places where you see regular human beings doing groceries or whatever, because that gives me a little taste, a little feel of how life is in this state, besides the touristic attractions, and I absolutely love that. Oh, I truly do. But the cherry on top for this state would be a tourist attraction, and a very, very popular one. Welcome to the most visited state park in West Virginia and home to the Blackwater Falls, one of the most photographed features in the state. Well, let me show you why. West Virginia has over 200 falls. These are the largest of them all, standing tall at 62 feet. The state park is open year-round, offering activities like hiking, fishing, camping, cross-country skiing, and more, depending on the season. And speaking of seasons, I feel I could not have picked a better one. I guess Ryan was right when I asked him if there was anything I should avoid in the state.
What should I skip? If anything. I don't know.
You know what? Nothing. West Virginia's beautiful.
Nice.
Well, hard to argue with that. I left West Virginia thinking of the colors, not only about the gorgeous red that was just beginning to push the yellow away, but also about a man named Brown who fought for the black amidst the white, a meaningful stroke to an ever-evolving canvas that continues to redefine its palette.